From the sidelines to the state title, he's the heart of the Bulldogs, the mind behind the game plan, and the face of Kearney football, Coach Logan Minnick. And now, get ready for insight, highlights, and a look at what's ahead for your Kearney Bulldogs from the Bulldog Radio Network team. It's your all-access pass to Bulldog football. This is the Coach Minnick Show.
And hello and welcome to the Coach Minnick Show. As you might notice, I'm Jim Dickerson. Mike Davis has abandoned me. He abandoned the coach. He abandoned all of us. And so did Eric, and so did Kelly. So therefore, as you look to my left on the screen, I guess it would be to my right, but however you want to do it, Coach Brinkley has decided to show up and fill in because he's dedicated. He understands commitment. He understands what it means to make a promise and be somewhere. And that's where we are today. Coach, you made a promise you were going to win the game last week, and you fulfilled that promise. Thank you. What do you even say? I don't even, I mean, it was 57-0. I've got a whole page of stats here that are just thousands of yards and whatnot, but you had a chance to work on some things. Let's talk about that for a minute, and then we'll break it down.
Yeah, biggest thing we did, and we talked about it here on the show last week, was we were going to go into that thing and we were going to concentrate all week on putting a three-phase game together, offense, defense, special teams, because we felt like, which obviously we had some pretty dang good opponents prior, but we had felt like we didn't put together a complete game here in almost a month. So that was what we concentrated on all week, and I thought, obviously, when you get a 57 points and you get the shutout and you score on special teams and you block a punt, and it's one of those games where everything came together, and, kind of going to that game, we thought maybe that game could get to that point, and which it did, and it was really, really good for our kids, really good. What an unbelievable crowd we had. Like, regardless who we're playing, the Kearney homecoming crowd was absolutely electric. The parade was awesome. I don't know if you guys saw, I got to drive around the big black Ford truck with the Bulldog on the side. Love that truck, other than I think the back window is a little bit difficult to close at times. You'll have to ask Coach Polk about that. But other than that, phenomenal truck. But yeah, just
so the truck, do you get to keep the truck?
No, that's a big myth. Everybody thought I got to keep that truck and I got to drive it year-round. I'm working, if Randall Freeland's watching this, they should probably just let the head coach, drive it around year-round just to promote, their business.
I would agree with that. Brian, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So we all agree on that. So these new trucks, the windows are automatic, right?
Yes. There's a button up front where you can just, close that thing, but...
And what happens if you try to close it manually?
Oh, it's excruciating from what I've been told. You got to put a lot of pressure on that thing, and it'll really work you. You never know what's going to happen in the back end of those things.
Did you get to see the truck?
I did. I got to ride in it. I was pretty pumped.
Did you operate the back window?
No, but I saw it operated.
Oh,
and
okay.
It could be a messy situation if you don't know what you're doing back there.
Excellent. All right, so anyway, that's enough about the truck. For those of you who want to donate to the Get the Coach a Truck Fund, we'll have a website for you later. But anyway, back to the game.
Yeah, again, proud of our kids, proud of the effort. It's always fun when you get the young kids in there. They get their first Friday Night Lights. You get them that little bit of experience, and proud of how they came in. It felt like last year, every time we'd roll the young kids out there, it'd be two plays and they'd score a touchdown, and Coach Brinkley would be so angry on the headset on the sideline. But no, we told them at half, guys, the expectation is you put more points on the board, and we hold this shutout, and our young kids got in there and did that. So I was really proud of that effort. And
you did not have anyone tackled by the kicker.
No,
if I recall.
No, we did not get tackled by the kicker this week. That was a huge point of emphasis from Coach Wendell this week.
Well, let's work backwards a little bit here. Let's go from because we know what happened in the first two quarters, but I think what you were talking about is huge, because your second team pretty much they started right at the second half.
Yep.
Came out the second half and did not. So you're right. A lot of times they come in, they're nervous first time, gaps, holes, blown coverage, everything crumbles, they pick it up. But those guys were solid right from the start.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
yeah, for us, I mean, on the defensive side, we were really excited because a lot of these kids, you get to see them against varsity kids for the first time. Because we're used to just seeing them JV or at practice. We kind of have an understanding of what they can do. So we get a little excited in that aspect that we get to watch some of our young guys develop and see who's kind of catching on and who needs more work. But, we talked to them at halftime that, the standard's the standard, that on our side of the ball, we want to maintain the goose. So we want to maintain the zero, and was really proud of their effort and some of the plays that they made, starting up front and working their way back. You always get a little nervous. Speaking from experience on last year, it's like first two plays they always rip off like a 60-yard drive. Right? It just deflates the evening. But was really pumped to see those guys come out and execute the way that they did.
And one of the things with the Cardinals left their first team people in, I think, all the way to the end, if I recall. Yeah. There are a couple of guys, and we talked a little bit about this in postgame. There are a couple of guys on that team. You put them in a different environment. On this team, for example, night and day difference. But yet your second team guys kept those guys contained.
Yeah.
So that was a good job with that.
Yeah, very proud of it. And, we thought as we're rolling some different kids and trying different kids in different spots, I think one of the things that we were really impressed with was our young D-line. And, we've got some good kids on the D-line that we're developing. It's kind of tough, to sit and wait behind both the Beavers and Clay. And, so we've got some June bugs in there that are they're one play away from being the guy, but seeing them compete at that level, it's always good. And then you look at the back half, and a team like that has speed everywhere and have a couple good receivers that can get loose on you, did a really good job containing the ball when it was in the air as well.
Yeah, so talking about the first team, did you get to, obviously you're not going to show all your cards, especially as we get closer to the championships and playoffs and that sort of thing, but did you get a chance to take a look at some plays to see how they work good in practice, but making them work in real life is a different thing?
We spent a lot of time last week working some man-beater routes, and it seems like we've got more and more teams that are playing a straight man-to-man across the board. So pass game-wise, we definitely worked some new stuff in there. Some you saw in the game, some we haven't brought out yet, like you said. But at the same time, several things. We got more option game going. We really wanted to concentrate, too, on getting, spreading the ball around. We've been running Carter like crazy. We did a good job of not running him nearly as much, and I thought, I think Matt Lindsay's getting better every single week, so it was good to see him have a good game. Anytime you get the football to Dryden Hendricks, good things are going to happen. So just did a better job of spreading that around. Had a great pass to Sam Way. We've been really working on with Carter of, he likes to throw that moon ball. He can throw it 50 yards high and 50 yards long all in the same throw, so we're really working with him on putting taking a little air out of it, and he threw an absolute dime to Sam Way there. So a lot of things we worked on throughout the week we executed pretty well Friday. So
we talked last week at length about how much time you guys spend watching film. And when we watched the Cardinals, one of the things we noticed, they had some plays that they were pretty well executed, but it was almost like your guys were in the huddle. Yep. It's like your guys had watched enough film. They knew what the play was before it was even run. How much did that affect what happened Friday night?
It has a huge effect on not just last Friday, but a ton of Fridays. We spend more time in that film room than probably any staff in the state, because we like to win ball games that way, and we can find ways. And our kids do such a good job of taking that film and that knowledge when we give it to them, that we want to give them as much as we absolutely can, because they do retain it. And so like when we introduce something to them on Monday, they'll start to pick it up Tuesday. By Wednesday afternoon in practice, they're pointing out the back is set here. We know it's this play, or the receiver has this split. We know these two plays are coming when he does this, or any of those little things that you find as a coach, we can relay to our kids and they'll pick it up. And we even tell them, we've got 15 sets of eyes on the coaching staff. If they're watching film as much as we are, now we have 100 sets of eyes. There's been weeks where they're coming in and, hey, we noticed the center touches his towel when he's doing this, or, they change this split on the offensive line when they do. So they pick up things at times too, that we can find and see if there's tendencies there.
Did you feel the same way? I mean, the film.
Absolutely.
I mean, from our vantage point when we were watching it, again, the Cardinals they're a developing team.
Yeah.
They're young, but there were several plays that the play itself actually seemed to work. It's just your guys were standing there. Again, as if they were in the huddle, they knew exactly what was going to happen.
Right. Well, to echo like what he said, film's huge for us. On the defensive side, that's where you base your knowledge off of is what are they doing, how are they doing it, and when are they doing it. For us, there's answers all over the field to find tendencies and short little answers for them, but as we went, they had some tendencies on some alignments and maybe some stances that were a little bit different and some splits that were choked down on certain moments of the game. But that's just one of those things that we go through in film and we really reiterate through our kids is, throughout the week, if you make a mistake, all right, we're going to fix it in practice, but if you make that mistake on Friday, it's on me because then we need to be having it addressed prior to that moment. So, and that's the beautiful thing is, when we get to Friday, they're the coaches on the field. They make the plays, they make the checks, and, we have full freedom and range to let them make their checks based on what they see and certain splits and yada, yada, yada. But I thought our kids did a really, really good job preparing because it's always a tough week when you go into a homecoming week and you're really trying to reiterate the film and keep the structure the same. And you've got all these, the powder puffs, you got all this stuff, which is fun stuff. But at the end of the day, it matters what happens on the Friday night game. So we had to do our end of the deal, and we made sure that we were really focused in film and try to execute that.
And I will say, if there were any distractions, we didn't see it come Friday. When we got to, and I've got all these, there's a lot of negative numbers on here, but when we got to as we started to get to the end of the first half, we made the comment, we don't know what the total yardage is for the Cardinals, but I'm going to lay odds it's in the negative. And then when we got the sheet, I think it's a negative 44 yards. That, I realize it's a developing team, but that has to make you feel at least good about how your kids are paying attention to what they're supposed to do and staying focused. Because that's easy to get distracted. And those, like I said, there's a couple of guys on that team that had some really good talent. You're one play away from them taking off, and you never see them again.
Yeah, they. By the time it was all said and done, they ended up with 2 total yards on the night, and that includes the whole second half against our 2s and 3s. So one of the more dominant nights we've had. That's at times you almost feel bad for those guys because it's like, man, that's got to be frustrating knowing. And I don't know that they got more than 1 or 2 first downs the entire night, but at the same time, we got to play who's on our schedule and. It was what it was, but again, it was not only we're a better team than they are, but we came out and executed at a very, very high level as well. So when you have a team that on paper is better and then they come out and execute about as good as we can, it turned into what it turned into.
So you're familiar with that program, if memory serves.
Oh yeah, they're still Raytown Ray South was always the biggest rivalry. And when I got to Raytown hadn't beat Ray South in 13 years, so they kind of just thought they kind of owned us, and and then we beat them all 5 years I was there. But yeah, so anytime it's Ray South week, you still, even though I'm removed from Raytown, you still rivalry, you still want to get after those guys. It's just beat into your brain at that point. So
it's interesting to me because we talked a little bit about this because what do you say about that? It was domination across the board, but it's interesting for me looking at the programs because you came from a similar program and you had to build it up. How do you what's the difference between the program you have here and the program you had over there? Because these kids here, your kids here, are focused. They want to learn. They're in there at, what'd you say, 6:15?
6:15.
Some hour I've never heard of. But the commitment of your kids here is phenomenal. And you came from that program, a similar program over there. What's the difference between? It's got to feel good for you because kids want to learn.
Right. I think the biggest difference is, you've got so much commitment here from the community and from the parents and from the administration of, it's the expectation of, at Raytown, we'd have to load up as coaches and we'd have to go pick up 4 and 5 kids apiece and get them there. Here, you've got mom kicking the kid out of the car at 5:45 on a 6:15 morning because Coach Minnick one time said 30 minutes early is on time. So the kids may be kicking and screaming, but mom and dad's kicking them out of the car at 5:45. So I think that's a huge difference. And then another huge difference we have here is how involved our youth league is. And, at Raytown, we struggled to even get a youth league going. We had kids that were playing, all over the city. We got our younger kids into different leagues, but it wasn't a Raytown team where you can develop them. Like right now, our kids are running our offense and defense starting in kindergarten. So by the time we get them now that we're in year 4, by the time we get them as 8th graders and freshmen, they know the base offense, they know the base defense. And so you start building. You don't have to build from the foundation up anymore. Now it's, we're starting 2nd and 3rd tier as freshmen.
So that brings up a good point for you. You've seen this program build. You've seen it over the years. How important, from your point of view, is it you have this program that literally starts, day 1, where they're eligible to play football at all, and they come through the program the whole way. Every year, the program is light years ahead of any other school around.
100%. And I think to add to what Coach Minnick was saying, the other thing is when they grow up in Kearney, they grow up to be Bulldogs. They know they're going to be Bulldogs. They look forward to being Bulldogs. They watch the high school team every week. Coaching in a different place where you had kids that were playing whoever, wherever, you don't know if you're going to get them when you get the opportunity to get them as high schoolers. And so that's the other part too, is like they only want to be Kearney Dogs. And so that's huge too. But on top of that, it's here the expectation along with the tradition that we've had, that this is the standard on how you excel in things, and our kids frequently find a way to meet it over and over again. So it's fantastic.
And we're going to keep it going, and we will keep it going right after we come back from this break. When we come back, we're going to look at the play of the game. We'll look at the players of the game. We've got some more individual things to talk about, and then, of course, we'll talk about the upcoming game at Winnetonka. Stay with us. More on the Coach Minnick Show coming up next.
Dings, dents, or a full-on fender bender. When life happens to your car, you can trust the team that's been fixing it right for over 40 years. At CarStar Porter's Kearney Body Shop, expert collision repair, precision paint matching, and detailing come standard with customer care that goes the extra mile. CarStar Porter's Kearney Body Shop, 816-628-5621, or you can stop in for a repair estimate at 104 West Main Street in Kearney. CarStar Porter's Kearney Body Shop, where your car gets the care it deserves.
The air you breathe inside your home plays a critical role in your overall health and wellness. Harmful contaminants like asbestos, lead, and mold are hidden hazards that can be lurking in your home or office. Since 2013, the indoor air quality experts at EcoSafe Environmental Services have been detecting and eliminating harmful contaminants, improving indoor air quality, and creating safe, healthy living spaces. You can learn more at 816-598-4111 or at ecosafekc.com. You deserve a healthy home. Stay safe with EcoSafe.
Reagan National Airport outside Washington, D.C. were shut down for hours tonight. It comes after American Airlines says a plane blew out several tires after landing.
Flight 1551 blew one of its tires during takeoff.
4 tires blew out.
A disabled aircraft on the runway can easily shift from a simple inconvenience to an airport operations nightmare. The unfortunate outcome can often lead to a complete airport closure and, in some cases, significant airport financial losses. The solution is easy: Planesgate. Planesgate was designed as a simple, innovative method of removing disabled aircraft from your runway, quickly, safely, and efficiently. Planescape is manufactured for both civilian and military aircraft. The sturdy design makes quick work of moving everything from corporate jets, turboprops, large, medium, and small piston twins, and almost every single-engine aircraft, including tailwheel and warbirds. Planescape is extremely versatile and easy to use on multiple airport surfaces. Planescape traverses large runway cracks, sand, dirt, and gravel with ease. Potholes, ice, snow, and grass are no challenge to Planescape's mobility. And best of all, in most cases, you can clear a runway in less than 15 minutes with Planescape. Now that's a game changer that'll keep your runway open. Discover more about keeping your airport operations running smoothly. Visit Planescape.com and keep that runway open.
Hey, Outlaw Jim here to tell you about NexTran GMC. Are you tired of confusing prices with advertised rebates that you don't qualify for? And what are all those extra fees added on at the end? At NexTran GMC, they believe buying your next vehicle should be simple and straightforward. Their transparent buying process is designed to save you time and money with no surprises. It's easy, it's honest, and it's all for you. Visit them at nextrangmc.com or take a short drive on 435. They don't just look different than other dealers, they are.
Kelly Gentry here for KMO-TV from Kearney High School. They win their homecoming game 59-0 over the Raytown South Cardinals, joined by junior defensive back Ashton Bringus. Ashton, the first thing I wanted to ask you, it's homecoming. What's your favorite homecoming tradition?
Just hanging out with friends and family, just chilling at home, making sure everything's safe and good at home.
Coach Minnick says his favorite tradition is winning the football game. You guys definitely did that tonight. Talk to us a little bit about what you did to prepare this week. You were our leading tackler last week against Grain Valley. Ray South looked like they were trying to pass the ball tonight. Nothing doing from the secondary standpoint. You guys did a super job back there. Talk to us a little bit about the preparation that you guys did to prepare for this game.
Lots and lots of film. Coach is always there for us and making sure we know what we're doing. We have lots of coverages that are good for us. Make sure we cover the right receivers at the right time. Coaches are always making sure we know what we're doing, and that's what matters to us.
Well, we've been calling your name a lot this year. You're a first-year starter here in the secondary, and it just seems like you're getting more and more comfortable each week. What do you attest that to? Is it the film study, just working, getting your Friday night lights under your belt? Talk to us a little bit about your comfort level.
Lots of film. It makes me comfortable in how I play. The coaches make sure we watch lots of film, make sure we know what we're doing, so we go out there and we can play comfortably and make plays.
Well, Kearney, you're undefeated on the season. You've got 2 more conference games left. Go to Winnetonka next week. Have you guys thought about that and looking forward to next week yet?
Not really. We go week by week. We make sure we're not looking ahead, so we know we're coming to this week and not the next week. And we don't miss anything this week, and we make sure we're prepared.
That's the right answer. I'm sure Coach Minnick will like to hear that. Kelly Gentry here from Kearney High School. They win big over Ray South on homecoming.
Well, that was a great interview. You proud?
Yeah. You can tell he reiterates what we say. I was really looking close there on that interview. He got a pretty good rash on his neck there from his shoulder pads Friday night, and you couldn't see it there. So we were really trying to see if we could see that on there. But, yeah, he's done a phenomenal job. He's getting better every week, as Kelly said there. He's getting more and more comfortable. Is making plays on the ball. The big question was he's not the biggest safety in the world, but he'll come up and tackle, as Kelly said in the Grain Valley game. I thought kind of was his, okay, I'm here, I'm coming out kind of game of, this is my job, I'm comfortable in it. Made a ton of tackles there, and now is doing a good job communicating in the back end. That's something you always worry about with a first-year starter, young DB, of communicating in the back end and talking and understanding the defense. And he's done a phenomenal job of that, and is just getting better and better.
So one of the things that we talked about during the break is you had, I think we came up with 7 people who scored touchdowns on this game. Not afraid to spread it around at all. How unselfish is the team as a whole where it's not about who scores the touchdown as long as we score the touchdown.
Yeah, that's the name of the game, and I know that's something we've talked about on the show all 4 years I've been here is we're going to play team football. I think it's now obviously if you've got an absolute monster at a spot and, you can turn around and hand it to him 40 times and win every week, we would do that as well. But I think what we do makes us really tough to defend because we can do it through the air. We can do it on the ground. We can do it in the special teams. We can completely shut you out defensively. And then offensively, every guy at any point can get the football. And I think that makes us tough to defend and very balanced because you can't just take away one part of our game because we can score from anywhere. And I think that also it probably keeps more kids out on the football team. It keeps more kids involved with our program because they know, the same guy's not getting all the glory every single week, and we're winning. So it makes it sound like what we're actually doing is working as well. It's easy to sell, when you're winning games. If we were not as good and losing some games here and there, maybe they would be telling us who we should give the ball to and who we shouldn't. But yeah, it's very balanced, and we like to keep it that way. And our kids all buy into it. I love when one kid scores, and it may be a kid that plays the same position as another kid. They're all loving each other up in the end zone, on the sideline. They're all excited for Kearney to win.
Well, and you bring up a good point. If you want to look at Raytown, they were a good example. I think they had 2 guys.
Yep.
And constantly you knew it really cuts down on your ability to do anything because everybody in the whole stadium knows that guy's getting the ball or we're throwing to that guy or we're going to run backwards 16 yards because we don't want to die.
Always a positive.
Yeah, I try to look at the highlights of the whole thing. Let's talk for a minute. Neither one of you jump in. Special teams. It's one of those things. First of all, you had 2 kickers for extra points.
Yep.
Both of them look phenomenal. And either one of them, probably right now, you guys are going to have to be really careful because out at Arrowhead, they're looking for another kicker, I heard.
Yeah.
And so those guys were rock solid. But how nice is it so we saw with, Raytown never kicked an extra point. I watched them in pregame, and that is probably a bonus on their side. How nice is it to not only have a kicker that is rock solid, but you have at least 2 of them, and I'm going to go on a limb and say you probably got a third hanging around there somewhere we haven't seen.
Yeah, it's kind of weird you talked about that. We talked about that on the way over here we're 100% on extra points this year, and we've used 3 different kickers to kick them.
Yeah.
And that's with Drew Nelson, Grant Bogert, and Cale Tucking can all go in there and make an extra point at any point. So always feel really good about that because, there are teams, and there were times when I was at Raytown we didn't have a kicker, and it's something you don't realize how awesome it is to have one.
Yeah.
And we're still missing having Jacob Dillon put it 8 yards deep in the end zone every time. That was a huge weapon. I think that's something we've spent a lot of time on this year is kickoff coverage because I thought it was a little shaky to start the year, and we got to thinking about it. It's like, well, in 4 years they haven't had to cover.
Right.
Haven't actually had to go down there and cover kicks. But the last few weeks we're getting it tackled inside the 20 now. We've got kids flying down there. But yeah, the kicking game's a huge weapon, and we're blessed to have 2 that we're very comfortable with at any point. And then if you ask Cale, he'll tell you, I can kick from anywhere. I'll make any kick. I can punt. I can, he can do anything you ask, and he's not wrong on that either.
Right.
So yeah, we've been blessed in the special teams department having kickers every year.
And then talk about I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and then you look at the ladder, like on what we're fortunate to have with kickers. Look at the ladder side of it. I mean, our offensive stats weren't as sexy because they never flipped the field. They didn't have a kicker that could at least try to change the direction of the field. So, I mean, it's a weapon.
But I was going to bring that up, and I'm glad you did. So you guys do a phenomenal job of So if you watch other high school teams play, when there is a kick, so some of the kickers at the high school level, and Raytown South was a prime example. There was one kick I think went 132 yards straight up and 3 yards forward. But you can watch a team completely fall apart because the up guys don't know what to do if they get the ball. Your guys do.
Yeah.
No matter who the ball goes to, no matter where they kick it, because they'll want to keep it away from the deep guys.
Yeah.
But the up guys get it, and everybody knows what to do. And that's something a lot of teams don't teach.
No, and we spend probably more than anybody on our schedule with special teams, and Coach Wendell does a phenomenal job of it. And there's moments in every practice when we work different scenarios of different kicks that we're going to see, or possibilities of different kicks and different area kicks, and what our calls are when that does happen. So for us, it's just a normal phase of the game. Like, we're going to go over every situation, no different than offensive situations in a game or defensive situations. We're going to go over every special team situation, every possibility of where the kick could or couldn't come from. I mean, like, we looked at the Smithville game, I believe, and we had a surprise onside kick. I mean, sometimes when you're dealing with kickers, you really don't know where that thing's going to go.
Right.
So you need to have a plan in case it does go wild on you. So, no, Coach Wendell dominates that area, and our kids are very well prepared.
And that's what, at the college or pro level, normally you're going to get a decent kick. Yeah, someone will shank one every now and then. But at the high school level, not all teams are as solid as your guys' are. And so it's like I was watching the kicker in pregame, and that one punt that went sky high, but it may have net 4 yards. I don't remember where. Well, you were out on the field, I think, marking it, if I recall.
I was letting them know, here.
You're like, well, it started there and it went out here.
Yeah.
So, which brings up a good point. You may not be able to discuss it. Was it this game or last week we saw you mosey out to the officials as if to say, be on the lookout for this? Were you giving some advance? In all fairness, you put some wrinkles in some of these plays that these officials probably haven't seen.
Yeah.
Is it good to let them know, hey, here's what might happen, so you don't freak out?
Yeah, we definitely, that's something they always talk about in your pregame of, and it's so funny because we've had officials ask, what do you guys got for us tonight kind of deal, or like it was crazy when we put in the way we punt this year or last year,
right?
Having to go through that with all the officials. Like, we had some that were like, oh yeah, no problem, and others like, you're going to do what? Like, no, we're going to kick a field goal, we're going to cover it. And they're like, well, I think that's like, yeah, it is. We know it is. But yeah, it's hard to know which week I went out and let the officials know how to do their job. I feel like I do that pretty well about every week. But, and it's always in a very, quiet, polite,
calm
tone.
manner, yeah.
I've never seen you get upset at all, which is interesting.
I don't ever remember yelling at the side, on the side. I mean, I yelled at Coach Brinkle one time last year, but other than that, I've always...
Have you ever even seen him go past the white line on the
Never.
side? I haven't.
Never. He abides by all rules.
Yeah.
Tone is down. It's amazing.
Good. Lost my whole train of thought there on that one. Let's talk about the player of the game, who I believe was Sam Way. Am I right? And there he is. And we'll get to I don't know when you want to do the play of the game, but before we get to that, let's talk about it, because somebody in the booth, in their ultimate brilliance, I'm not going to name any names, but we noticed that Sam was one-on-one down at the bottom, and we were kind of watching, and we were like, man, I'd throw to him because he can outrun that guy. And you did. Do you want to just pull up the play of the game, and we'll just go with it, and then we'll talk about it after we watch it? Same formation. Carter Temple has two in the backfield. Sam Way split to the near side. One receiver to the far side. There's a fake handoff. Turns, looks to Way. Way's out in front. Reaching out, touchdown. A great outstretched catch by Sam Way.
You said it, Jim. Terrific catch. And, wow, I mean, it looked like that had the potential to just slip and free. And Sam Way was able to just fingertip catch it.
Super job by Sam. He's 6'5", 210. We know he's a track guy, and that pass was put on the money. And super job by Sam, just picking it out of the air.
That's one of those plays. I think Coach Minnick was listening to us. I kept saying that they had man-to-man, one-to-one coverage down on the near side, and Sam Way just took advantage of it and outran it. So it's good to know that our headset that goes down on the field is still working, and you listen. That's the important part.
Yeah, that's been one of the coolest features this show has done. 2 years ago when Mike brought me down that earpiece that you guys can let me know what plays to call and when. We've won. I think we've lost one game since that happened. Yep. So, yeah, it had a slight delay in it. I know you wanted it to be thrown to Sam 2 plays earlier, but yeah, it was. That's one of those you look out there, and Sam is just an absolute creature when you just look at him with his size and his length, and is a monster. And he's out there, and I think that corner was 5'6" or 5'7". So, of course, Coach Martin in the box, our wide receivers coach, we got a mismatch. I am told to run that play every play. But no, so proud of, because that was something we put a huge emphasis on. This week was the timing and the more of that ball being on a line, and we almost overthrew it. I was like, man, he's going to throw it too hard. Yeah. What a play by Sam. Did a great job getting off the line of scrimmage, too. He's really working this year with Coach Martin on becoming a complete receiver and running routes correctly, and he's such a good athlete as well. He plays, when we go to any of our double tight stuff, he plays tight end as well. So he's kind of like our Bryce Page 2.0 type kid, and is going to just continue to get better and better. And he's an all-state track kid in the hurdles, so he's a phenomenal athlete. He makes tons of plays on special teams. I know he's been our special teams player of the week. He had the play of the week on here in the Smithville game, running that kid down on kickoff. So great kid, great athlete. Definitely another piece of that junior class that's so talented. So we're excited to have Sam for the rest of this year and next year going forward.
And he runs track too, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the interesting thing, we were talking a little bit about how Sam runs. He looks like he's literally jogging, but he's so tall, and he covers like 20 yards per step or something like that. So, and Carter, we'll talk about Carter Temple a little bit. Like you said, these passes, they were good at the beginning of the year. They seem to get better game over game. And like this one to Sam that you're talking about was phenomenal. But there were a lot. No interceptions in the last how long's it been?
He's got one this year, and he's still upset about it.
Yeah. But no, that's I will say I noticed too, when he throws a pass, he does a good job of either our guy's going to get it or nobody's going to get it, but he doesn't throw them short.
Yep.
No. I'm sure that's all coaching.
It's 100% coaching. It has nothing to do with the kid. No. That's one thing. I mean, with offense, it's just so rhythmic with that. And we've just slowly seen some amazing progress with just the timing between quarterback to receivers, the route running out of the receivers, the availability to get open, and then catching balls in the air. I mean, it's only getting better from here, and it was a good momentum thing to happen at that point in the game, because it's like, this is easy now.
Right.
Like, so then I can do it again and again when we need it. So it was great play, and two kids that are very, very hard to stop every day in practice for sure.
Well, and the good news is, for those of you who know, Mike is the president of the Carter Temple fan club. I was actually last week officially accepted into the club. Very expensive to get in. I just want you to know that was tough. But.
Yeah, and just to put on top of what Coach Brinkley talked about, I think you guys have seen this year as well. We've added different passing game. We've added. It's been a great thing for us to play the Park Hills and these Raytown Souths, and you'll see Tonka this week that like to throw it all over the yard, because Carter gets to be the scout team quarterback against our defense in practice. So then he's he makes some throws where it's like, that is next level type throws, but then it gives us confidence. Well, maybe we should put this route in. Like, he throws it so well, we like it. It's tough for our defense to defend, and our defense is really dang good. So if we can complete those kind of passes, so we've stolen stuff from different places as well of that we like in the pass game because of how well Carter has developed in that area.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more when we come back, and we'll take a look at Winnetonka coming up tomorrow night. Stay with us on the Coach Minnick Show.
The air you breathe inside your home plays a critical role in your overall health and wellness. Harmful contaminants like asbestos, lead, and mold are hidden hazards that can be lurking in your home or office. Since 2013, the indoor air quality experts at EcoSafe Environmental Services have been detecting and eliminating harmful contaminants, improving indoor air quality, and creating safe, healthy living spaces. You can learn more at 816-598-4111 or at ecosafekc.com. You deserve a healthy home. Stay safe with EcoSafe.
Hey, Outlaw Jim here to tell you about NextTran GMC. Are you tired of confusing prices with advertised rebates that you don't qualify for? And what are all those extra fees added on at the end? At NextTran GMC, they believe buying your next vehicle should be simple and straightforward. Their transparent buying process is designed to save you time and money with no surprises. It's easy, it's honest, and it's all for you. Visit them at nexttrangmc.com or take a short drive on 435. They don't just look different than other dealers, they are.
Reagan National Airport outside Washington, D.C. were shut down for hours tonight. It comes after American Airlines says a plane blew out.
Flight 1551 blew one of its tires during takeoff.
4 tires blew out.
A disabled aircraft on the runway can easily shift from a simple inconvenience to an airport operations nightmare. The unfortunate outcome can often lead to a complete airport closure and, in some cases, significant airport financial losses. The solution is easy: Planesgate. Planesgate was designed as a simple, innovative method of removing disabled aircraft from your runway, quickly, safely, and efficiently. Planesgate is manufactured for both civilian and military aircraft. The sturdy design makes quick work of moving everything from corporate jets, turboprops, large, medium, and small piston twins, and almost every single-engine aircraft, including tailwheel and warbirds. Planesgate is extremely versatile and easy to use on multiple airport surfaces. Planesgate traverses large runway cracks, sand, dirt, and gravel with ease. Potholes, ice, snow, and grass are no challenge to Planesgate's mobility. And best of all, in most cases, you can clear a runway in less than 15 minutes with Planesgate. Now that's a game changer that'll keep your runway open. Discover more about keeping your airport operations running smoothly. Visit Planesgate.com and keep that runway open.
Dings, dents, or a full-on fender bender. When life happens to your car, you can trust the team that's been fixing it right for over 40 years. At CarStar Porter's Kearney Body Shop, expert collision repair, precision paint matching, and detailing come standard with customer care that goes the extra mile. CarStar Porter's Kearney Body Shop, 816-628-5621, or you can stop in for a repair estimate at 104 West Main Street in Kearney. CarStar Porter's Kearney Body Shop, where your car gets the care it deserves.
Kelly Gentry here at Kearney High School. Kearney defeats Ray South on their homecoming game 57-0, joined by senior tight end Drew Nelson and kicker and singer in the choir. Did it all tonight for the Kearney Bulldogs. Drew, my first question for you on homecoming. What is your favorite homecoming tradition here at Kearney High School?
Ooh, favorite homecoming tradition? I'd probably say karaoke at Mr. Mitchell's class. It's always a blast, and all the football guys get into it. It's just a lot of fun.
Well, from a singer, I definitely can see that. Well, Drew, you had a big night tonight here on homecoming. Had 2 touchdowns receiving. You were perfect on your extra points. Talk about the touchdowns that you caught there from Carter tonight. Looked like you were wide open on those.
Well, yeah. Coming into the game, we do a lot of film and it's really easy to get these balls going. Whenever I got Carter throwing it to me, he already knows exactly when I'm going to be open and where I'm going to be open. So it's just a blast knowing that I'm going to be able to get the ball, and it's just a lot of fun, especially homecoming. We have this whole entire crowd, everybody out here. It's just a blast to be able to play. Yeah.
It was a packed house tonight. Eric talked about that. I think over 2,500 people here at Kearney High School. Talk to us a little about you've been dangerous for opponents in the kicking game. Perfect on PAT tonight. You made a 40-yarder against North Kansas City. It ended up being a big play in that ball game. Talk to us a little bit about what you do in the kicking game.
I'd like to thank Coach Backus. Every single time that I miss a kick, he just tells me that I need to kick it through the uprights. That's it, and then I just make it after that. So I want to thank him, but also Coach Wendell. He prepares me before every single game. And on Thursdays, every single time, we're probably kicking 30 kicks every single Thursday to get me warmed up for the game. So.
Well, it's definitely paying off. You've got Cohen, the long snapper, Brad Holden for you as well, so a great unit there. Talk to us a little bit. You're one of our senior leaders. Kearney undefeated on the season, ranked number 1 in Class 4, rather. Talk to us a little bit about how you guys are staying focused week to week.
We're not stooping to anybody's level. Like, all these games, it doesn't matter like who we're facing, when we're facing them. We're just going to bring the hammer every single time. We'll be well prepared for every single game. And just keep it going every single week by week. Next play.
We like the sound of that. Kelly Gentry here from Kearney High School with senior tight end Drew Nelson.
So many things to break down there. One thing, well, a couple of things. Let's talk. This schedule has been weird. I don't know how much you have to do. How would you, if you had your preference, how would you break it down? Because you had the three, the Class 5s, Class 6 all bunched together, and then the back end is a lot lighter. If you had it, would you like to spread like tough game, easy, tough? How would you, not saying that any game's easy, but wow.
Yeah, I'd rather have 10 easy ones if I get my choice. But yeah, we have no control over the schedule. There's a committee, the suburban committee, that puts that all together. And I know they try to, when you play, like for example, when we play up, they try to pair you with similar like records based off your last couple years. So that's why anytime we play up, we're getting a Fort Osage or a Green Valley or a Park Hill type team, just because they're trying to match us up with teams with similar records to make them at least somewhat competitive. But yeah, if we could definitely get them spread out a little bit, that would be nice. Because now it's the schedule's not as tough. Now we'll talk about Tonka here in just a second. They are night and day different Winnetonka than what you've seen in years. I don't know that it's light this week, but yeah, if we can spread it out, that'd be much better, because you don't want to have them all together and then be real light, because it makes you nervous. If we'll have 3-week window here where you don't play, teams that are quite to our level yet, and then you go right in. Now it's playoff time, and now you've got to step right into a game where you haven't really played a tough one in about a month. So it's you always worry about that. I felt like that was kind of what we had year one. We could start that 10-0 start, but after week 3, there really wasn't a competitive game at all. So it's a different mindset. But I think now, we're in year 4 of this program. Our kids understand what the goal is. It's not a, we know how to win now. We know how to close out games. We understand big games. You've got, so many returning starters off a team that lost a close one in the semis. So I think it's just a completely different mindset of our kids and how we approach certain games, and when you have your bye week, and then whoever we get in the semis of districts and et cetera, we've been there, we understand it, and so we kind of know how to lock in.
And we've talked about that before. You guys have a huge advantage in that, especially now with this being year 4. Your teams have gone so deep into the playoffs, of course, winning the state championship too. You are about 3 seasons ahead of a lot of the other teams, because you've played that many more games every year.
Yeah, just, with the extra playoff games we've had, so these seniors have pretty much played an entire 5th season. Anytime you can get that, and just the practice that you get with even the kids that weren't players that played in the actual games, you get another 6 weeks of practice time that other teams don't when they lose week 10. So that's another huge part of, and that's why you see teams that once they get it rolling year in and year out, are the toughest teams to beat because they get, 10 more games than you have over the last 3 years. So something we want to continue to do, but it's definitely something that's helped us for sure.
All right, and we'll talk about Winnetonka here in a second, but I did want to talk to you, Coach Brinkley, because you apparently, as reading about this, gave a homecoming speech that was second to none. And it says here, I've heard people speak, I've heard of orators, but I've never heard of anyone as great as Brinkley.
Man.
I heard Abraham Lincoln and thought he was the greatest, and then Brinkley spoke. What did you say?
I mean, it was just so profound and so deep that I just couldn't keep it only to the student population. So really all I said was, through some clever delegation by Coach Minnick, usually we end the homecoming speech or the homecoming rally with the head coach getting up and giving a big pep rally speech. And mine was just pure, sweet, and simple. Tonight we play Ray South. Tonight we beat Ray South. And that was it. Pin drop, mic drop, the whole bit. And, yeah. So it's there's a reason why I'm coaching on the defensive side of the ball here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Keep it sweet and keep it simple.
I'm touched. I'm moved. I don't know where to go with that.
I don't know that we can even continue the show after trying to follow that.
Just earth-shattering information.
Just the depth.
Yes.
And the.
Do we have tissues?
Gosh.
Yeah.
Let's talk Tonka. Like you said, different program than what we've seen in the past. What are we going to see tomorrow?
You're going to see an explosive ball club that's scoring a ton of points offensively and is one of the best defenses, number-wise in the entire state right now. They got a new head coach this year. He was at KIPP Academy down there in the city, and when he came, he brought some luggage with him. So they've got, I would say at least 10 new kids on the roster that weren't on the roster last year, so they definitely look a little bit different. Now, that being said, that's a good thing. Good for them. We've got some new kids that decided, Kearney was a place to be as well. So, but it's not we just show up and we beat Tonka 40-0 Tonka. They're 5-2. They lost week 1 to a Class 5 team by 1 point. And then they lost to Lincoln Prep by a touchdown. So both games they've lost 1 by 1, 1 by 6. And then the Lincoln Prep game, they just had too many turnovers to overcome. They dominated every aspect of that game other than the turnovers. So you're going to see they're big, they're physical. I think they've got a Division I offensive tackle. They've got a Division I defensive tackle that you've got to know where they're at all times. They've got one of the best receivers we've seen all year. Reminds me so much of the Dante Dixon kid, if you remember him from
absolutely.
Park Hill. Very similar type player. When he gets the ball in his hands, you better have it corralled or he's going to outrun everybody.
Yeah.
They have 2 really good quarterbacks. One was a transfer in from Blue Spring South that can throw it all over the field and runs well with his legs. And then the other one plays receiver, and when he doesn't play receiver, he comes in at quarterback, and he is lightning fast, so you have to contain both quarterbacks, and then you've got good receivers all over the field, and you've got a big offensive tackle that they run the ball behind. So, when you look at their scores, it's like, oh, well, they haven't played the toughest schedule in the world, but they're beating teams 40 and 50-0. They had a 5-game stretch where they gave up 13 points total. Mm-hmm. So they had 4 shutouts in a row. So defensively, you've got to know, obviously, where that defensive tackle is, and they line him up all over the field. He reminds me, we were talking about how crazy this is, of the number 52 this year for some reason. The awesome D tackle from Park Hill was 52. The monster from Green Valley 2 weeks ago was 52. Isaac Beaver is 52. And now we've got another 52 this week. It's like, man, we should just put all our kids in 52 if that's how they're going to look and play.
I'm thinking that's illegal.
Oh, yeah. We figured out what numbers we have to have on the field a couple weeks. But you're going to, like I said, defensively, they're super aggressive. They like to blitz you. They're going to play man coverage across the board. And they have the athletes to lock you down and do it, and they're very comfortable, and they leave those kids on islands and dare you to try to go beat them. And when you do throw it at them, they'll take it away. And we've told our kids all week, you know, because you don't want our kids going in the game thinking, oh, it's just Tonka. No, this ain't normal Tonka. This is different Tonka. So we've had a really good week of practice. I thought Tuesday and Wednesday were two of the better practices we've had all year. So I'm really proud of how our kids are locked in and focused, because you know they're starting to sense, you know, this could be 3 out of 4 years where we have an opportunity to have undefeated seasons, which is, you know, some teams don't ever even sniff one, and we've got a legitimate chance at having 3 here. So they're super locked in, and they want to go make a run at this thing, and we're treating this like a playoff game.
Well, and the reality is too, I would think most teams circle on their schedule when they play Kearney. This is the game. This is the highlight game. This is like, you know, we want to beat the Chiefs. We want to beat the Bulldogs. Defensively, what do you guys?
Well, for us, we've got to contain the football this week. They do a lot of things that are based on the perimeter, and against us, that's exactly what a lot of teams are attacking us with the kids that we have inside, fit in the run and things like that. But they do what they do. They like moving the pocket. They like playing in space with some of their guys that can run a little bit, and they distribute the ball well to their guys that can run. You know, they've got, I mean, a handful of kids on offense with 2 receivers and a running back, and then the 2 different quarterback system. I mean, there's certain tendencies that we have on them. We had a good week of prep and focus in that, but keeping the ball in front and keeping the ball on our inside eye is the way we're going to have to play to beat these guys.
And that's going to be a little bit different too. We talked about this is going to be a team that has multiple weapons instead of just 2.
Yeah.
They're in 2 guys you got to watch.
Yeah.
You got to watch a whole.
You corral one guy, then you know, okay, where's the secondary guy at?
Right.
Because then the ball's going there too. So we've got layers to it as far as our game plan and kind of our plan of attack with that. But yeah, keeping the ball on the inside eye is a big deal. You got to keep it corralled.
All right, well, we'll be looking forward to it tomorrow night. We will be out there at Winnetonka. Pregame starts at 6:30. Game time is 7 o'clock. We know, as usual, the Bulldog faithful will be there in force. They always are. Bulldogs travel well. So we'll see you out there tomorrow night. Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you on the air tomorrow.